the MV Portland. She's just sailed out of Portland Harbour. She's been taken over tonight by foreign crew. The Australian crew have been removed forcibly.
Is there an Australia that doesn't carry its own cargo in its own waters between its own ports? Is there going to be an Australia if you allow someone to come in to pay no taxation and exploit wage slavery and do nothing about it? These are the issues.
This is my first swing on board the ship. I thought things are finally turning around for me and my family, and it's devastating.
BHP has sacked nearly 80 Australian workers.
These are vessels that have gone off our coast. The Hooghly Spirit, it's the Alexander Spirit, the Tandara Spirit, it's the CSL.
What we've had in Australia is a complete abolition of the Australian fleet. So everything going around the Australian coast now essentially is done under the flags of convenience, where crews are paid badly compared to Australian fleets. They're vulnerable seafarers, they can be punished for even talking to the authorities, and it is a terrible situation.
Corporate power. You are not the BHP that Australian workers built.
So BHP, big user of ships, the charterers, they say, well, that's not our responsibility, that's the responsibility of the Liberian flag ship owner. That's nonsense. And the only way you can challenge them is to be able to galvanise the international seafaring and dockers workforce, and so that's what translated into the cabotage, the ITF campaign.
We fought the hardest fight for Australian shipping. We threw absolutely everything this union had.
The seafarers around the country who were being removed forcefully on some occasions, and we're still fighting those things today in the courts. But we needed to give them some justice outside of those legal institutions.
We went to the Lords of Parliament House and we set up a picket, a mini picket line, MUA picket line, with sacked seafarers from around the country, and we continued to do that for the last 3 years. 15 sitting weeks we've done down there.
The reason why the seafarers in this country have been attacked is because they have been strong.
It was a pretty sad time really when we seen the last of the two iron boats, the Maralura and the Lowlands Brilliance, taken off the run that they'd serviced for over 100 years supplying iron ore to the steelworks in Port Kembla. We believe that was just a complete opportunistic approach to get rid of Australian seafarers before BHP, BlueScope and TK were confronted with what was looking like a pretty positive change to the shipping laws. Now, that obviously hasn't happened.
We haven't achieved our objectives industrially by getting seafarers back up the gangway, but we have won the hearts and minds and changed a bit of the culture around some of the thinking.
We were on the streets consistently, members were on the streets, we were in our communities, the branches were all active, and we ran a really sensational Save Australian Shipping campaign.
We've been down to Parliament House. We're still talking to the MPs, we're still talking to the crossbenchers. They still agree that we should have an Australian shipping industry, we just got the wrong government for it.
Unions from must be 50 different countries all come out and said, change the rules to save Australian shipping.
And in Norway, and in Brazil, and in New Zealand, and all across the world, until you do the right thing. Put Australian seafarers back to work.
What was understood by the ITF and international seafarers, we have to fight together.
The only ones that are benefiting from using flag of convenience vessel are the ship owners.
Many representatives from international seafarers, particularly from the US and Canada, out here arguing to the Senate subcommittees, arguing and seeing the crossbenchers, talking about the truth, not the bullshit about shipping, that Australia finishes at the high water mark, telling the truth about shipping, that it is a part of Australian industry.
Aussie workers being robbed! Aussie workers being robbed! Aussie ship!
The campaign morphed into fuel security, strategic and national defence to complement the Navy. So it's not all lost. There are alliances current and being built in some of the most unsuspected areas.
Fuel security is a critical issue for Australia because if the fuel runs out, everything stops. Everything. Hospitals, manufacturing, transport, everything stops.
2 years this government has been working as hard as it can to replace this flag with the flag of a foreign nation.
Analysts and strategists from the military backgrounds and everywhere else are coming out and saying, hey, the MUA's right on this. They're advocating that the red ensign should be on the back of a number of ships, both domestically and internationally, because that is the only thing that forces a ship owner to comply with an act of Parliament. And in times of national security, you want to shore up your transport component in terms of fuel. There's a way to go, but there are positive signs around this.
We're still relying on foreign refining for fuel. The safest and best way for Australia to survive in this space is to actually start refining fuel and start running that fuel around the coast with shuttle tankers employing Australian seafarers.
Struggle is for Aussie jobs, but this battle and war is worldwide.
Cabotage and the removal of international shipping in domestic trades is the first step to the deregulation of all shipping supply chain, all shipping actions within the country. Through the ITF, through our leadership, through the leadership of the membership, through our campaign and Jobs Embassy, we're fighting back.
It's about our jobs, it's about...
There's no way that the ALP are going away on this. The Greens are still supporting us. Some of the crossbenchers still support this. So we just need to campaign harder, keep talking to the community and make sure that they understand that we need an Australian shipping industry.
Aussie workers being robbed!